November 21st. It is a little bit after 2 o'clock at 2:04. I call this meeting to order. Please join me and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll have a roll call from our board secretary, Ron Evans.
I can see that Andrew is joining us remotely. And Francis is here, Vince is here, Paul's here, I'm here, and also our solicitor, Frank Dilly's here also.
Thank you. All of you should have received the agenda more than the 24 hours advance notice. It was also available to the public more than the 24 hours advance notice online and physically here at the Government Center. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. At this time, we will invite the public to provide a comment concerning the agenda. At this time, there's no one online or in our meeting room that has a comment concerning the agenda. All of you also should have received the minutes from our Authority Secretary, Mr. Ron Evans, for the October 2024 DeSigra meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 2024 DeSigra meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. And I guess this carried over from my last agenda, but we do not have a special guest presentation today. So we can wrap that. Is that fine, Mr. Solicitor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll turn it over to our treasurer for his treasurer's report.
All right. Great day to you, everyone. So I'm going to be giving the treasurer's report for the period ending October 31st, 2024. The statement beginning balance for the period was $513,844.54. There were checks cleared and payments made in the amount of $52,312.25. We did receive our quarterly payment in the amount of $268,208.58. And then I'm excited to announce that we have received interest this period in the amount of $328.06, as a significant increase from our last month. And that left us with a statement ending balance of $730,068.93. As of October 31st, there were 2 checks that was uncleared, totaling $4,000. That was for the Chester and the Alden Borough Police Department. Chester for $2,500, Alden for $1,500.
Can you state those again?
Absolutely. The checks that were unclear were check number, and I'll give a little bit more information. Check number 1269 for the city of Chester, an amount of police department, and an amount of $2,500. And check number 1298, Alden Borough Police Department, and an amount of $1,500, totaling $4,000 of uncleared checks.
Alden Borough Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so that concludes the reading of the report part. The rest of the statement and the rest of the report is available for your review. I make a motion to approve the November 2024 Treasurer's Report.
Second.
The motion has been made in second. Questions to the motion?
No, I have none.
All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, motion carried. Next motion, I make a motion to approve the payment of invoice number 1007, $1,250 to Majan Technologies.
Second.
Second.
All right, so the motion has been made in second. Questions to the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, I make a motion to approve the payment of invoice 82613 in the amount of $1,245 to Brinker Simpson.
So moved.
Okay, the motion has been made in second. Questions to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, so update on grant payments not mailed and transferred as of 11/20. So I do know that we did write out 2 checks for the grants, Paul, where they were mailed.
Yes, I think those are fine. Those were 2 checks that we wrote that I met up with you the other day, and then I drove to Brinker Simpson. I don't know if they're not really outstanding. They're relatively recent.
Oh, right, okay. So I'm not aware of any grant payments not mailed
Okay.
as of 11/20.
So are you referring to the 2,500 and the 1,500, the Alden Police Department, 2?
No, they were already mailed. Those checks just haven't been cashed by the police department.
Those are extremely outstanding.
Those checks were from, I believe, August, if I'm correct.
No, I think we went a little, do you have the date on the stuff?
Give me a second. Let me,
That was the emergency services grant. And then the other checks that we did the other day, that was for
the food
food
insecurity,
security,
food and
right?
household insecurity.
Yeah.
Okay.
those are
So go ahead, I'm sorry.
No problem. So, and you're going to talk about this in a few minutes. We're in the midst of providing electronic payments, and these grantees requested to receive a physical check. And there was just a delay between me and Andrew getting together to actually write the check and then provide it to Brinker Simpson. So it's not extremely outstanding. It's
And
just,
who are those 2?
I don't have the name in front of me for those 2.
Okay, so in other words, we have 2 uncleared checks from like several months ago, and now we have 2 new checks that
Well, that are probably in the mail as of today.
Correct. Now, the uncleared checks, the dates for those checks that I'm showing are August 22nd for Chester and 9/30 for Alden. So those checks that haven't been cleared, I can actually reach out to the Chester Police Department and find out to get an update.
Okay. I'll reach out to Alden.
Okay. And then we can get more information on that.
And, you know, sometimes when this stuff is mailed, it either internally gets lost or in some cases, it just doesn't arrive. We've had some instances where we've mailed a check. We thought it was mailed, and then they haven't received it. Then we mail another check, and then a few days later.
That is correct. Then they found the check.
Yeah,
So we did have that in one where I had to stop payment on one of the checks.
correct.
Right.
Yep.
I believe that any kind of delays that we're experiencing has everything to do with postal and the internal operations. As far as our operations are concerned, we mail the checks all at the same time. So where there are some organizations that received them and others didn't, that's not an indication of us.
And the more we're doing these ACH transfers, the better.
Yes.
Right. And I think that will help a great deal, the ACHs.
Do you want to talk about, you were making a comment earlier about the ACH. Do you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, so the ACH has a max of $15,000 per day, and then there's a monthly max. I don't remember exactly what he quoted, but I had to put a request in to increase the daily amount of checks that we could send out on the ACH. So the number that I told them to request for the amount that we'd be sending out in a month was about 175,000. I figured that would give us enough leeway to be able to do what we need to do. And if we need to do anything more than that, then we could request an increase on an as needed basis.
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, so are we coordinating a meeting with you, myself at the bank to
It doesn't appear that we need a meeting. I got an email from a young lady that was handling it. She wanted to find out what the max was for the amount. I responded with that, and her response was that it should take 2 business days to process.
Okay,
I don't know that we have to go to the bank, but you
Okay.
know how TD is, because you hear one thing from one person and another from another. So as of today, I think we're good.
okay, thank you. All right. And do
Okay.
you talk about the course vector?
Yeah, so I do know a little bit about course vector. We had a balance, a credit balance, and we were looking at strategic ways to utilize said credit balance. Paul and I got on a phone call. Maybe it's been about 2 months now that we met with Course Vector, and we went through different needs that the authority would have as far as updating the site that we had access to, and how we can continuously just make updates to utilize that credit, and also to upgrade our site for ADA compliance. Now, I do know that as far as what we ended, where we knew we needed ADA compliance, and there were a couple of forms that we needed to update, and then there was one more thing they needed to update. Stephen Roots was still listed as the treasurer, so they were able to update the website to show me as the treasurer. And I know that did eat up some of the credit. I'm not sure where we stand as far as the rest of it, though. Paul, are you able to fill those gaps in?
Yes, yes. So you want me to go from here?
If you don't mind.
Okay, sure. So I believe we have $271 credit. That was as of October 31st. So we talked about a few things in addition to the ADA compliance, which I understand government websites and maybe even authorities and other agencies will have to be ADA compliant shortly, not immediately, but I think our values and our mission statement align with making sure that we are fully accessible and inclusive of everyone working or viewing our site. That would be an additional $500 to our yearly bill. So our yearly bill should be renewing soon. And I do have an email that says the first year the bill would be prorated as we want to keep your yearly roll date the same. So I got to find out what that is, and we'll bring a motion to the agenda concerning that, if that's a recommendation. As far as the credit, so I don't think we'll be using the credit for the ADA compliance immediately. That'll be a separate motion. But one of the things that I've heard from council and county council, and also from some of our grant recipients, is we do advertise the grants, and the foundation offers voluntarily to promote the grants through their newsletter. And oftentimes I'll tell people that either past recipients or people that are interested, subscribe to the foundation newsletter. However, sometimes there is a gap, and we've had some people that have applied before they missed the date, because sometimes our dates for the grants, they varied over the years. At some points we had grants open for 3 months. Now we're kind of more narrowing them down to 1 month, and they're not on a strict calendar basis every year. So there was an idea to create a contact form or contact tab on the website so that they have to opt in. We just can't send a blanket email to everybody in the world about, hey, here's a grant that's upcoming. But if we have a contact tab, our past recipients sign up, our future recipients sign up, and then when we do announce a grant, they'll get an email, they'll still see it in the foundation newsletter, it'll still be advertised. So there was a discussion about using the funds to create that tab. Once that information is collected, we may have to work with our partner, Majane Technologies, to find some type of mechanism to link the content that we collect to some type of email system to send out notifications of grants. That may be manual, or it may be using some type of email newsletter system. So that's something that we'll have to discuss at another time.
So in the 3 tabs, in In the document where we review the proposals, and there's a different tab for each RFP. So there's everything coming in for arts, emergency services now, youth development. It's easy to copy and paste all the emails. You just go down and grab all the emails, and next time we do arts, funds, to just do a blind copy, put them all in there, send an email. I mean, that can be a role for a board member. I can do that super easily and just say, attach, please find the RFP. We've put this out. You're a previous recipient. Visit the website, with a link to the website where they can apply. I'm just trying to minimize cost and add that to the list of ways that we do the outreach, because I do feel badly that a previous grantee that received funds from us didn't notice the foundation email. It was off year. I have in the past reached out to key nonprofits to say, oh, by the way, like the arts funders, I always send something to the Arts Coalition to say, we've got arts grants now. I didn't do that in this case with the food security ones, but there's, it would be very easy for us to do that for the ones where we are doing the same kind of round.
Yeah, and I agree with Francis, and I think it's hard to imagine a prior recipient objecting to receiving the email, but if we wanted to cover our bases, I think in our RFP or in our application, we could just simply include a line that says, the submission of this application is an agreement to receive future emails and communications from the authority. And then just by virtue of them submitting an application, we'll have an affirmation from them that they've agreed to receive.
So that way we're not violating any kind of laws for contacting.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I guess I should double check that with the solicitor, but that's, sorry, Frank. Right.
So that was we're kind of in the discussion mode. That was a suggestion as far as this last credit that we have. So they would do some work on the website to kind of create like a customized contact us type of tab, because we're not an organization that has a offering, and we're a full volunteer based organization. Could they go on the website and see our info@thesigrid.org and send us an email? Sure, they could. This would just be another mechanism to do that and to collect emails that are automatically opted in. Any other comments? So I do have it on the agenda. I will make a motion and we can vote on it if there's any other questions. So this is specifically about it's a general motion to authorize course vector recommendations utilizing credit funds for contact form and other web updates. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Yeah, I said aye.
Okay. Right. Thank you. And
Well, I have no updates on the money market.
you do or you don't?
I do not. Yeah. So this new account negates the need for a money market.
Okay, that's right. You did tell me that. So you want me to take that off the agenda?
Yes, please.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Any other comments?
So the only other thing I did notice an error on the agenda. I don't know when the proper time to address that.
You can.
Okay. So for the motion to approve the grant for health educator, it's saying 10,000. Health educator requested, and then they got 3 votes for 15.
Wait a minute.
What's this?
The motion, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think it's the 9th one down. Motion to approve grant of $10,000 to Health Educated Incorporated.
Yes,
The number on there is 10,000, but the number on the sheet that they requested and that the recommendations that we got 3 recommendations was 15K.
you can make a motion to amend that item when we come to it.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Andrew, thank you for your initiative to get the higher interest rate and your work to accomplish that.
No problem at all. No problem.
Absolutely.
All right. At this time, we will have we'll talk to our solicitor, and if he has a solicitor's report,
Well, there's not much to talk about.
that's always a good thing, usually.
Yes, it's a
Yes,
good,
indeed.
it does not have a lot to talk about. In fact, I have no report this month because there's no controversy.
All right, cool. Thank you. You want to talk about your underestimate on the payment? You're close.
You get curious how much we're going to receive each quarter. And for the longest time, it went up and up and up. And it finally has plateaued, and it's only a few thousand less than it was the prior quarter, but it is still less than the prior quarter.
Thank you. All right. Unfinished business. I do not have an update on my proposal to assist County of Delaware operations. I did have an inquiry today, but we're waiting until that person has more information to come to us. And also, I do not have an update on grant agreement components integration with grant application. I did talk with our Donna Stillwell at Brinker Simpson, and we looked at a few things, but we don't have and I have to also work with the controller for a proposed document, but I don't have anything on that right now. Any other unfinished business?
Can I ask that that be removed from the agenda, the future agendas until there is a matter that comes before us?
That's fine. Yep, I will. If I don't have an update, I will remove it from the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to new business. Motion to increase 2024 arts and, do I have a motion to increase 2024 arts and culture grants allocation to $195,375 to 24, I'll just make them, to 24 organizations due to oversight from September 19th, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Do I have a motion to approve grant of $10,000 to senior community services as part of the 2024 arts and culture grants, subject to county council approval?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I have a quick question. I apologize. Just remind me, why are we including senior community services in arts and culture?
They applied, it was a arts and culture focused grant application from Senior Community Services. They were on the list to put on the September agenda, and I overlooked it.
And have they not received other grant monies from us in the last year?
They have not, we have not done a senior grant since maybe 2022. Yes, they have not received another grant from us. We did do a special category for senior citizens because we thought that they are a
Absolutely.
vulnerable population,
Yeah.
but they are not one of the standing organizations. I think we did that shortly after the pandemic, if you can say after.
Right.
And we did provide some countywide support to senior organizations, and they were one of the ones that we provided that funding to. But we did not provide, to my recollection, we did not provide any funding to them in 2023 for any other category, including the senior category. So I believe the last time that they received funding was 2022.
Understood. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oh, next motion. Motion to approve grant of $25,000 to Delaware County Literacy Council as a special grant, subject to county council approval.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. Okay. The following are for 2024 food security and household security products grants totaling $175,220 to 16 organizations. These are all subject to county council approval. The amount may change based on our vote, and the organizations may change based on our vote. So that's just a comment. It's not a motion. So I'll go through these motions individually.
Before you do that, was 175 our cap on the program?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think it was, and which would mean we'd need to authorize the additional 220 unless we were going to lop that off of one of the grants.
Mr. Solicitor, can we vote on these?
It would be in the
individually,
minutes.
or-
It would be in the minutes, I think.
Well, you didn't make a motion on the 175 because it's not necessary. It's just, it's an announcement.
Comment, yes.
So,
It wasn't in the previous minutes. It was in the minutes the month before because I remember I went through them. And on the document, I don't know if somebody can access the document, but the spreadsheet I totaled up my column and tried to keep it below the number, and I thought it was 175.
Are we looking at arts and culture?
No, we're looking at food security and household security.
Okay, and you want to know what the total amount requested was?
If you look,
Just check the minute, 135,000.
175. So in other words, we'd have to either authorize an additional 220 or lop it off of somebody.
So, Mr. Solicitor,
we can do that now. We can do it next month.
Mr. Solicitor, can we vote? Can we vote on all of the individual grants, even though it is over the budget allocation? Or can we postpone one of the grants that would make it go over?
You mean like the one that has $13,520?
Possible. Or can we?
Oh, there you go.
Can we still vote on them individually?
Perfect.
I believe we can vote on them individually. The budget is for our own purposes.
Okay.
So
So
I'm
are
going
we in
to,
consensus with going and voting on each individual one? And then we can come back in December and vote on the budget allocation.
yes.
gonna-
The budget.
when you get to Chester East Side, I'm going to ask to amend the dollar amount to 13.3.
Okay.
Which will keep it within budget.
Yep.
But Andrew mentioned something about going from 10,000 to 15,000 for health educated.
Okay, I think let me start over. I think the understanding is that we can vote on each individual budget item, approve it. The numbers can change. And then we can put a motion on the agenda for December to match the exact number of what we vote on. The
Motion to
budget, the
adjust
budget
the
amount
budget.
isn't,
Yes.
it's more of an internal amount. We could still vote on these individually.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I recommended 15 and so did Paul.
Say that again?
Three of us recommended 15,000 to health educated. That must have been a typo.
That's what Andrew was saying.
All right.
And yeah,
Okay, are we ready to proceed? Is everyone okay with us doing it in this format? All right, motion to approve grant of $700 to Men of Action Brothers of Faith. All of these are subject to county council approval.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $15,000 to Community YMCA of Eastern Delaware County.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $15,000 to African Family Health Organization, AFAHO.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $10,000 to Greener Partners.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $15,000 to Murphy's Given Market.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $10,000 to Delco Helping Hands Association.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any questions or comments? Sorry, I forgot that.
Mhm.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Let me get on the list. Motion to approve grant of $15,000 to Prospect Hill Baptist Church for their loaves and fishes pantry.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $10,000 to Ardmore Food Pantry / St. Mary's Episcopal Church.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $10,000 to Health Educated Incorporated.
At what point, how do I introduce this amendment? I'd like to amend the motion. Oh, does the motion have to be on the floor and then I offer a friendly amendment?
I think so.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
I'd like to offer a friendly amendment to increase the amount to $15,000 because at least 3 of the 5 of us voted to provide them with the full grant.
Mr. Chair, I have, as solicitor, have some difficulty. If we were reducing an amount that's already been on an agenda, I have no problem. But where you're increasing an amount, the public hasn't been notified of the correct amount. So I think the best you can do this month is give them 10,000, and perhaps if next month you want to give them another 5 when it's on the agenda. you could.
Okay. Okay, so you'll remember that, Paul, for the agenda for next time, or I'll make a note of that.
You guys will help me remember.
It's okay, I'll make a note of it. All right, so we have a motion on the floor that has been
So
seconded.
are you rescinding your amendment? Pulling your amendment?
Yes, well, I don't have a choice. The lawyer is telling me I'm not allowed to make it. That man on the other side of the table.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for making sure I do everything right, Mr. Daly.
Okay. So do we want to table this motion altogether, or do we want to
Up to the board.
say it again?
It's totally up to the board.
I say
make
we
a motion to
table it.
table the motion.
I say we table it for her. Mhm.
Do we
And
have a
we'll
second
add it
on
to the agenda next time.
You do need a second, and a tabling motion trumps, oops, terrible word. Yes.
Do we have a second to table the motion?
Second.
Okay.
Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, opposed, abstained, motion carried.
Carried or table? Oh, the motion to table it is carried. Got it. Never mind.
And I don't have to reintroduce that motion again. I could just do a different,
Well, that's true too.
yes. So we'll come back with the revised amount in December. That's fine, right?
That's what the board wants to do. Yes,
We'll
that's
be on
fine.
the agenda. That is
Exactly.
Legal and ethical.
Right.
Okay, we want to be legal and ethical. All right, thank you. Motion to approve grant of $13,520, oh, I skipped one. Motion to approve grant of $15,000 to First United Methodist Church of Media, doing business as Media Food Bank.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $13,520 to Chester East Side, Inc.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'd like,
To make a friendly amendment to reduce that amount by $220 to $13,300.
Okay, there's an
Oh,
amendment.
but we already pulled one off. I'm rescinding my amendment
Thank
request.
you.
It's no longer friendly.
Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $10,000 to Delco Food Project.
So
So
moved.
move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $15,000 to the Chester Pearls Foundation.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $5,000 to Operation Look Forward, Inc.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $10,000 to AIDS Care.
So moved.
A
Second.
second, thank you. All those in, questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Motion to approve grant of $6,000 to Cheney University.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second,
Questions or comments? This is for their student food pantry. So even though it says Cheney University, it is going specifically for the purposes of their food pantry. Any other additional questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Okay. So we understand for the next meeting, we will have an agenda to change the food security and household security products grant allocation as a budget item. And we will also have a new agenda of $15,000 for Health Educated Incorporated. Is that correct, everyone?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, we have an agenda item, discussion of proposed support for Delco Gives Day 2025 by Francis Sheehan.
Okay. So you may recall that last year, the Foundation for Delaware County organized the very first Delco Gives Day. It was online giving, 24 hours of online giving with events all over the county. We had over 281 nonprofits participate in the event. We raised, together they raised $1.7 million from almost 10,000 donors. Very significant first year effort. So we're scheduled to put on the second Delco Gives Day beginning in the evening of May 8th and end in the evening of May 9th. The foundation's role is to organize the event, provide all the training for the participants, to do all the communications and communications assistance to the participants. We also pay for the online platform. The foundation not only does not receive a fee for doing this, but in fact invests staff for the event and over $100,000 to help to cover the communications costs, the marketing for the event. I think that having DeSigra come in at the $25,000 level makes it one of the largest sponsors in line with the small group of $25,000 corporate sponsors we had last year. It gives DeSigra a lot more visibility, not only listing on the website, but also pushing the organization out in social media. It also gives Paul or another member of the board an opportunity to be interviewed on the live stream the day of the event. The live stream is a professional event that is set up in the Philadelphia Union with, I mean, it is a really professional live streaming setup with two interviewers, including two interviews, one local and one little from the York area who does this for for the York Giving Day. And during that live stream event, not only are sponsors given an opportunity to advertise, but, have some visibility in terms of their logo or their name, but it also gives that interview opportunity as well, which I think would be a really good opportunity to talk about what is DeSigra? What do we do? How do people apply for funding? We might want to do a little bit of cleanup of our website to make sure it really has all the information on there clearly beforehand. So if people visit it, they see what we want them to see. We had over 3,000 viewers of the live stream last year, which is very good for a live stream. So I think it's a way there's a double benefit. Not only is it a way in one fell swoop for DeSigra to benefit, well over 250 nonprofits in Delaware County, but it also is an opportunity to get some visibility and better understanding for what DeSigra is all about. So that is it's not a vote on the agenda right now. It would be a vote for the next board meeting, but I think that this is a great way for us to spend what I think is 10% of the balance that we have at this point.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? I have a question. Thank you. I think it is a great opportunity.
Paul, can you speak into the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm sorry about that. Thank you once again for the synopsis of that proposed support for Delco Gibbs Day for next year. I do have a question or two. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. The funds that we provide for Delco Gibbs Day.
They go into a bonus pool.
Okay.
So I'm glad you asked. I know what you were going to ask. Where does that money go? So there are three ways that nonprofits benefit financially. Number one is when donors go online and give directly they choose the nonprofits they want to give to. That money goes straight through to the organization. The second way is that we have the corporate sponsors. That money all goes into a bonus pool. A small percentage of that is used for communications, but to market the whole thing. But almost all of the money goes back out to the nonprofits, proportionate to the number of donors that they receive. So in other words, the more donors, the Chester Charter Scholars Academy gets, then they get a greater percentage of the bonus pool. And that is because we are really trying to drive donors. It's not just the amount of money we want to raise, we want to engage more individuals in giving back. The third way that nonprofits receive financial support is as a share of the undesignated pool. So if you're a donor and you go online and you say, well, geez Louise, I really like the Boys and Girls Club in Chester, I'll give them $100. But you know what? I'd like to benefit all the other organizations, so I'll give to the undesignated pool. That undesignated pool ends up getting divided at the end proportionate to the amount that they've raised. I'm pretty sure that's what it's based on. So there's three different ways that the nonprofits are benefiting, and this $25,000, almost all of it would go into the bonus pool to incentivize the nonprofits to drive. You don't want a nonprofit to get one donor of $25,000 and then they're getting a greater share of the bonus pool. We're really trying to incentivize the nonprofits that, the Drexel Newman Academy is a perfect example. They did a walk. where all their students and the students' parents and their employees and grandparents each put in $10 and they walked around their track for a certain amount of time. And that's a lot of donors. But they all invested a certain amount of money in making that event a success. So we're encouraging the nonprofits to think outside the box and really drive donor participation, and particularly to attract new donors. And a very significant majority of the donors this year were first-time donors to the nonprofits that they gave to. And that's amazing, because the nonprofits are then able to then continue to communicate with those first-time donors, and we hope there'll be renewals. So that was a long answer to
No, and
your question.
thank you for that. The only concern I have is, we haven't, I get the point of where the funding is going, and it's going to be dispersed proportionately among the nonprofits based on the donors and the donor activity that they received during this event. I do know that there was some apprehension when I presented this to county council last year. It was $5,000, but I think that was purely a marketing sponsorship.
No, you presented it as that, but when when it was presented, at least one council member, or the council member who questioned it, thought that this was benefiting the foundation.
Okay.
And once I had a conversation with that council member to communicate and explain that actually we're putting staff time and $100,000 into this and are not making money on this project, my recollection is the council member understood. I find it very difficult to believe that after the success of this event and council members understanding that the foundation doesn't benefit from this, that you would not have the full support of county council.
Okay. All right. Thank you for.
And if you would like me to go to that council member meeting at which if we were to approve the grant, if you would like me to be the person who goes to council with you to explain it, I am more than happy to do so.
Okay, thank you. And I will make sure that I have to, that I will present it in that context. Yeah, thank you. Because I think we've done some other grants to organizations, but they've been direct organizations. This would be a bonus pool that is dispersed among the organizations participating. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or
Yeah,
comments?
I guess I had the impression that you were asking us to help fund the publicity, but I understand from your last answer that I was mistaken there.
It's a very small portion that gets used for publicity. Most of the publicity is used by, the amount we put into the pot, and
So most of our.
almost all of the contribution goes,
to the.
exactly.
And we
I
do
do have a question.
partially providing publicity because that's the way an organization grows.
Exactly.
So for example, the Delaware County Literacy Council also, we provided a grant to Community College a few years ago for their diversity discussions, and part of that was publicity as well. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I do have a question.
Oh,
So, no worries. My question was just to make sure that we're following our mission statement. Is there any way that we can put some kind of fence around the dollars to ensure that we donate specifically to nonprofits that fall within our 4, or do we have 5 categories?
We have no legal restrictions as long as.
Okay.
What is the description again, Frank? It includes a very general.
Community development, nonprofit organizations, which is what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means okay. Yeah, that was my only thought. But as long as we're within that, then we're all good.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, to sort of follow up on that idea, Andrew, it's one of the reasons that I actually think this grant is a particularly good idea and beneficial for the authority, because you think you've heard me over time kind of beating the drum about capacity building and community development. And one of the things that I really like about Delco Gives Day is that it is creating community and incentivizing capacity among the nonprofits. So
Right.
it brings all the nonprofits together and exposes them to new tools and exposes them to DeSigra as a grantee. So unlike some other sponsorships that I also am supportive of for different reasons, because I am more okay with funding nonprofit operations than a lot of funders. I think this one is really pretty good for us and has a very nice ripple effect in terms of building community and capacity within our nonprofit sector. So I appreciate the foundation being the lead on that and having a vision for it because I think it's important for the future of the county.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Any other new business?
Two quick things from me. Number one, just to follow up this discussion, we are allowed to make contributions to organizations that is for economic development, for emergency services, and other items of public interest. And the other items of public interest is pretty much as defined by us. The other matter is for the agenda next month, we need to add an item to approve the meeting dates for 2025. Ron is usually pretty good at getting them to me, and it's just a motion for next month's meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any other new business?
I actually did, Mr. Chairman, would like to just say a few things. First, I was very sorry to miss the last meeting due to my personal health situation, but I, as always, am thrilled to support the work of the Share Food Program. And so I was particularly sorry to miss that presentation. That's one of my favorite partnerships of the authority. And I know we just approved the Literacy Council grant, but same thing there. That's a grant that I really feel strongly about and enjoy for us. The new business item that I have, and possibly if we had, I don't know, I have a special grant application that I have spoken to our special grant lead, Francis, and our chair, Paul, about separately. I circulated a paper copy to everyone and we'll forward an electronic copy after the meeting. It's a grant from the Be Proud Foundation, and it is particularly aimed at rehabilitation and keeping young people out of the criminal justice system. And I think it's a very worthy organization and cause. And I was just hoping that my fellow authority members would consider it as a potential avenue for some of our unspent emergency services grants. I know in previous meetings, we have had some discussion about the idea of using some of the emergency services money to also offset sort of root causes of criminality and criminal justice expenditures. And so this is an opportunity to take vulnerable populations who are in danger of becoming part of the system for life and help divert them away so that they would not put a strain on emergency services in the future. And I've received really strong recommendations for the Be Proud Foundation and their work. So I feel very comfortable circulating this application and requesting that my fellow authority members consider it and that we discuss it in the future.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
So thinking ahead to the next meeting, in addition to setting the meeting dates for next year and reorganizing and reconfirming officers, in the past, we've sort of done a forward look at um, grants for the coming year. And I have some additional special grants that I want to suggest. One, which is very similar to Be Proud, that is focused on youth time banking. The person who's the expert in the area on youth courts, Greg Valls, is also talking with some school districts about bringing the concept of youth time banking to the districts. The idea being that very similar to this day treatment program, the goal is to constructively divert students away from getting involved in the criminal justice system. We also are doing a new project down in Chester. The Riverfront Alliance is to bring the Jumpstart program to Chester, where this is an open source training module that trains local residents to become housing developers. And it's been very successful in other communities in the region. And the program is going to be coming to Chester, and I think it's something that down the road, DeSigra might have some interest in supporting it. But bottom line, I think it might not be a bad idea for us to have not a budget, but a guide around if we were to give food grants again and youth services again and arts again and emergency services again, and maybe add senior services in there, and then some individual special grants like Be Proud. Frankly, it still doesn't add up to the total amount that we are going to have available. So I think it wouldn't hurt to spend a little time in December giving some thought to what these parameters might look like and what the grant make it, not to lock anybody in, and possibly having a calendar, because this is not an insignificant amount of money that we are managing every year. And it really helps the nonprofits to have some predictability. Otherwise, we can do all the communicating in the world to them, but if they miss a deadline and then have to wait a whole nother year, it's not fair to them. So I think some predictability to what our calendar will look like, that frankly we can put up online and they can see it, I think would make a very big difference.
We'll add that as an agenda item. Thank you. So I just asked that if there are special grants that, Francis, Vince, anyone wants to bring to the table, just please provide it to me as an agenda item, but any background information that you can provide to the rest of the board would be great. And then we'll put it on the agenda and we'll see how the vote goes. And any other new.
Yeah, so I wanted to just add, in light of listening to the special grants, and one thing I was going to recommend, I don't know if December is the right time to do it, but I do think that we should also budget sometime as a board to sit down to where we could actually have a budget session. I know we don't have like a full-fledged finance committee, but it might be a great idea for us to look at the last few years, the budgets versus actuals, start noticing some trends, and then maybe put some kind of loose budget so that way we can have some kind of guideline to help us in the planning process for these special grants. And I also think it will cut down on the amount of amendments that we'd have to do for amending overall cost categories.
Andrew, I think it would be great if you took this year's budget or this year's actuals, project them out through the December, and then produce what you think is going to be the budget for the coming year. I did this each year, and you're right, it's very, very helpful, but it's not a complicated budget.
No, it's not. Yeah, so I could do that. I could go in, pull the actuals, have a draft for us to sit down in the December meeting, and we can move from there.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah, no, that would be wonderful. Let me know if you need any
Yeah, you
assistance.
did that with me, Vince.
Yes, we did it together once, absolutely. I would just add, I agree with everything that Francis has said and appreciate Andrew's willingness to pick up that budget torch. Just in terms of December and Be Proud, in the case of this application, this is a program that started with a grant from the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency. So it's a program that has a history in this specific kind of diversionary emergency services prevention, if you will. And it is a full application, and we do have 2024 dollars. And so I know in the past, we've not wanted to end the year with too much money in the bank. And so I do think there's an opportunity to potentially consider this grant and get them moving, get this program back up and running. So that's sort of where my thinking currently is, specifically on Be Proud.
Thank you. We're running a little bit after 3:00. At this time, do we have any public comment? Do we have any additional authority comments? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Aye.
3:05.